After the publishing last video with working on the new hornbeam, I received a couple of questions. Some of them were very interesting, and I promised to few of you to respond. Especially I would like to show Dieter. He was asking me about healing wounds on hornbeams. Especially I wrote him that I have 15 years old Yamadori collected in 2009. One of the very first trees I ever collected, most probably tree number 3 or something like this, very early in 2009. And this is it. These are basically 2 trees. I would like to demonstrate few things on this particular tree and respond to Dieter and respond to Peter, who was also asking me why I removed the sacrifice branches so early. Maybe I managed to clarify some reasoning behind what I did on hornbeam last week. Few words about this tree. This tree basically are 2 trees. This one with movement going to my side, and this was a straight tree. As you can see on the pictures, when I collected it originally, it wasn't high like this, but it was much higher. When I was collecting it in 2009, my original intention will be that this will be one tree and the second tree will be much higher with a straight trunk, nothing on it, and another crown which will start just above this tree. This was my very original artistic idea, maybe naive. At that time I knew nothing about bonsai. At that time I collected it. It stayed in my garden. I looked at it for maybe season or 2. You can see it on the pictures, and then I changed my mind and I decided that the height of this second trunk is too high, and I reduced it and recutted it and regrow new branches since then. Still, those are 2 different trees with, for many years, with completely different approaches. With this tree, you can see this was natural hollow, which was already on a tree. This was first cut, second cut, and here was a trunk was chopped and everything from here was grown. And this was all grown, and of course on this tree everything was grown from here, from this point. As you can see, the hollow here, this is for Dieter, nothing healed in 15 years since 2009. I haven't touched it. This is original dead wood. I will show you the detail. As you can see, this is very original deadwood, which was there when I collected it. Maybe you can see it on the pictures right now. This was cut away, the long branch, and this was shortened trunk. So this basically, this cut is 15 years old. It decayed, it somehow get older. It looks somewhat natural, but still nothing like healing like on a maple. So this is also original scar, which was from 2009. This is some root which was removed. Also, it's at the base of a trunk. A lot of energy is flowing around it and still no healing. Of course, no healing paste here. These are some much smaller wounds. Some healing here, but it will take a long time. So what I want to say is that on some kind of trees like maples and elms and stuff like that, you can achieve some healing of the wounds, even the large ones. But with some species, especially hornbeams, you cannot hope for any significant healing on a trunk. Maybe with some advanced techniques, as I said in my original video, where you use grafting, where you use sacrifice branches, you can achieve a little bit more with that, but also this is quite questionable. Healing of the wounds is closely related to sacrifice branches. Usually we treat the sacrifice branches as a tool to thicken the subsequent growth on a tree. So, for example, if I say that these 2 trunks were sacrifice branches grown from this point, and everything which was grown here is to generate energy, and this energy is flowing through this trunk and through this one and through third one. So three of them are joined at one point at one height, which is a little bit problematic, but as you can see, it doesn't look that bad on this tree. All this energy is flowing around this wound, but still no significant healing is happening there. I wasn't using any kind of cut paste on those wounds. Maybe if I use them, maybe it would be beneficial. I don't know. I was not using it many years ago. I'm using it more in recent years, especially on the maples and on some other trees, and I'm testing if it helps or not. Speaking about sacrifice branches, all this growth which is here is completely new. As you can see on the pictures, there was nothing here, and this is completely new. Diameter of this trunk is around 2 centimeters. This is around 2 centimeters. Peter was asking me in the comment section in case I would let this sacrifice branches on last week new hornbeam collected in 2024 to grow unrestricted even more into incredible heights, several meters, maybe 2, 3, 4 meters high, big diameters. Would it help? Most probably it would help to heal a little bit those wounds, but also it will create, in my opinion, very coarse growth, and you can achieve some kind of movement, but you have to combine the growing of sacrifice branches with wiring of those early stages of the sacrifice branch. So you introduce some kind of initial movement into that, and then still you have to work on some kind of creating ramification lower on the trunk. And here is the thing. If you are having very long sacrifice branch on a tree, imagine this is higher, like another meter or two. This branch at the tip will produce so much auxin, which will flow down, and it will tell all the buds which it will meet on the way to the roots that they should not grow too much. This is my theory and this is my experience, that in case you grow in very long sacrifice branches, all the bottom growth is suffering a little bit from this high dose of auxin, which is sent down by apical buds on sacrifice branch, and which basically slowing down the growth of ramification here. So it's a little bit tricky situation where the hormone is telling the tree not to grow here because the tip has a lot of light, a lot of access to resources, and so on and so on. So what I'm trying to do is that on this particular tree, I can tell you that I'm treating this tree as more or less finished, and I'm cutting it much harder back, and I'm keeping the internodes very short. Treat this tree as a finished tree, and I'm trying to restrain the growth, especially the top section, and keep this section somehow healthy and grow them, not to lose too many branches. No sacrifice branches are grown on this part of tree. And the second tree I treat completely differently. I want to grow it, generate the new tertiary growth. I need to do it all at once. I was talking about it already, that I heard this in 2018 in the podcast of Asymmetry podcast of Ryan Neal, when he was speaking with Dennis Vojtilla, who is the guy who had a fantastic birch exhibited on, I think, Artisan's Cup, and he was speaking with Ryan, where he said that he's growing all his branches all at once. I was thinking about this since I heard it in 2018, and I agree with that you cannot, let's say, grow some separate branches and have different heights and different, let's say, lengths of branches. So you need to grow continuously, expand the crown. Let me explain. I would like this tree to be higher than the second tree, which is going in that direction. I would like this second tree to be maybe this high, but I cannot, let's say, use those long shoots and just create some ramification here and say, okay, my height is okay and I just go to make it thicker. I need to have a balance with sometimes letting it grow, letting sacrifice branches to thicken some parts of a structure. Usually I try to grow some sacrifice branches from the side, wire them in 90 degrees up, generate energy which will thicken lower parts. I'm trying not to, let's say, kill all this growth which is already there. It's tricky. Maybe it's not the best way how to do that, but this is how I'm approaching it on this tree. It's super slow. It's maybe not the best way how to deal that. Maybe the method which was suggested in the comment section by Peter would be better, that I will just grow massively one sacrifice branch and grow one small part, small section of a trunk, and not build any ramification, and then do it for maybe 2 years, not removing the sacrifice branches too early as suggested, and then grow a new section, and then again grow really long and really thick sacrifice branches. Maybe it would be a better method, I don't know. It could work, but you need to be really vigilant and you need to really think what the sacrifice branch will do with the thickness of a sub-trunk where it is connected. I'm trying to explain what I did on this tree, and I'm not sure if my approach from 2009 was right or not. Maybe I shouldn't have removed the sacrifice branches too early. Maybe they should have been longer. I will never know on this tree because I started it like it is, and most probably I will continue with this continual growing of sacrifice branches and removing them maybe after 1 year, maybe after 2 sometimes, continuously building a new section of tertiary growth and expanding this tree until it will overgrow this one. Finally, it will be of desired size. And if I'm talking about sacrifice branches, another question was there. We were discussing also sacrifice branches and big leaders on it. And what I said there, that I read it somewhere or heard it in a podcast, growing big leader is helping thickening the lower section of a trunk, not only because of foliar mass which is on this leader and the amount of energy which is created there, but also because if you have a big leader, it's not really stiff, it's very young, and you have a windy days, it's really wobbling, as you can see on the footage from today on my maple, which has very long sacrifice branches. They are really, moving in a strong wind. And what this wind is doing, as I understand it, most probably breaking some parts of inner structure of a wood. The tree must react to this kind of damage which happened in the trunk, and it must send some kind of resources, the sap, which will heal the micro cracks which are created by excess movement of the branch due to forces of wind and the weather. There is one theory which says that if you have very long leader or sacrifice branch, name it as you want, it's forced by the wind to move excessively during some parts of a year in active growth season. This movement is also generating the thickness of the trunk because of energy which will go into those places and healing process which is involved in that part of sacrifice branch or trunk. So not only the amount of foliage, but also the wind which is creating this kind of damage. Again, I don't know if it's true. I heard that. I think scientifically, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense that all those forces, moving those branches, creating some kind of micro damage, and tree responding to that, sending those resources exactly to those places to replace and heal those places and reinforce those parts of a tree which are damaged by those movements. By this, generating the thickness. So this is also interesting idea. If it's like this or not, I don't know. I consider it very interesting. That's all from today, and hope you liked it. If you have any questions regarding hornbeams, sacrifice branches, leaders, healing of wounds, put them down into the comment section. If you haven't, give a like on the video if you heard one new or interesting information from today's. And if you haven't, you can still subscribe to my channel and hit this notification bell. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.